Well, hey everybody, welcome to the sixth episode. I guess this would be of the Farmish Chat and Coffee on Friday morning. It is what's the date? Friday, April 15th. April 15th. Is anybody else out there dealing with Ma Nature's crazy ADHD, menopausal? I don't even know what to call it. I'm sure you all are. I've been seeing the stuff that's going on in North Dakota with the crazy like blizzards and crazy amounts of snow they're getting. I've been hearing some people who are dealing with way warmer temperatures than they normally would have this time of year. And so we here have been dealing with yesterday we had crazy wind, crazy wind, and then snow. I did a TikTok yesterday where I was standing outside in front of my barn and the wind was just howling and sending all this snow at my face. And what I should have done was done TikToks throughout the day because the weather changed, like swing back and forth like crazy. There was snow, and then the sun would come out and everything would melt. And then 10 minutes later, you'd look out and you couldn't see the barn again because it was snowing. And then the sun would come out and then it would pour for 20 minutes. It was the craziest thing, y'all. It's the craziest thing. And I don't understand Mom Nature and what she's doing. But here's the thing. We always think April, like we know the crazy weather is going to come. It happens every year. And when it comes, we're like, oh, this is so horrible. This is worse than last year. This is, I can't believe this is happening, right? So I went and found my farm journal. And this actually, I was thinking about this because I had a memory come up on Facebook yesterday, and it was talked ago. A bunch of stuff had been canceled in town because of the weather. I mean, like church services, like all through the town were canceled. All this stuff was canceled. So I'm thinking it must have been pretty bad weather for all that stuff to be canceled. So I started looking through my farm journal, and I want to share this with you. So, all right, I know I marked this. Where's the bookmark? Okay, so April 16th, 2014. So we're going back. I had written everything was melted and drying up nicely, and then the blizzard hit. Our farm got somewhere between 7 inches and 12 inches of snow, and the place I used to live got 19 to 24 inches of snow. And then I said, yuck, for real, yuck. So it's not super uncommon for us to get this crazy weather, but here's the thing. So 4 days later, on April 20th, 2014, 70 degrees. How do you go from a blizzard that drops a foot or 2 feet of snow to 70 degrees 4 days later? Ma Nature, we keep saying like it's menopause or like she's drunk or she has 0 F's to give anymore. But really, I feel like when you keep a farm journal, you realize this is just what she does. This is just what she does. I don't know. Let's go to the comments because we got people talking weather now. Nate Lamaster says we had 60-mile-an-hour winds all day yesterday. Yeah, I think we had maybe 40 to 50 here, but it was crazy. I was thinking trees were going to come down. I was just waiting for stuff to happen. We didn't lose any trees. I know we got a bunch of branches down, but it is so crazy, so crazy. I did hear that south, they were still having the wind this morning, like southern Minnesota, and they were still having the wind this morning, but they had also got rain, so then it froze. And then, so with that wind, kind of going across the interstate, they had some crazy weather down there. Semis blowing over. It's no good. It's no good. Letty says, still got that crazy wind here this morning. Yesterday was insane. Yeah, it was garbage. It's garbage day on Friday. Y'all know that because I always have to tell you when the murderous garbage man is in the driveway because the dogs are going to bark. So last night I'm like, do I put the garbage cans out today or tonight? Because I want to be prepared, but I didn't want them to blow all over the yard, obviously. So I didn't put them out last night, and I put them out this morning, and I thought, I hope they don't blow over because, garbage man's not going to pick it up all over my yard. Stephanie says, sounds just like Wyoming. Yeah, I can't imagine living west, because they talk about how it's always so windy, like Montana, Wyoming. Yeah, it gets windy here, but not like y'all have there all the time. Anarchy says, good morning and happy Friday, all. That's why we love Minnesota. Never a dull moment. You got that right. You got that right. Aaron from Two Chicks Homestead says, if Jesus cancels, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Yeah, I remember it being crazy weather, and I remember people talking online saying how bad the weather was because, "Oh my gosh, your church is canceled." So yeah, that was an interesting year. Homestead Journey says, "Good morning." I can hear you saying that, Brian. I can hear you saying it like beautiful upstate New York. The Philippine Nomad says, "Good morning, Amy and the Farmish Folk crew." Homestead Journey says 80 plus degrees yesterday. 80 degrees. That's great. He goes on to say, first time they said it's been over 80 degrees in our area in 5 years. 37 degrees this morning. This is just that time of year. Just that time of year. I woke up to, I'm pretty sure it was below 0 when I got up. When I checked, it was wind chill, I'm talking. It was the real feel. The wind chill was 2 degrees when I finally looked, but that was a couple hours after I got up, so it was definitely cold. You never know if you're gonna need a coat this time of year. You might be in a tank top one day, and then you need your winter coat the next day, so it is so hard to keep up with this weather, but, speaking of farm journals, this is actually my old one. I have a second one that I have started. We just used to call it the pink book. It's the farm journal. Do y'all keep a farm journal? Because I never really understood the great benefit of keeping a farm journal. When I started to keep one, I was just like, "Oh, I'm just gonna write little things that happen. It's gonna be great to go back and read." I never realized how useful it was actually going to be, especially when it came to things like weather, because you always think, "Oh, it's never been this cold. It's never been this hot this early. We've never gotten this much snow, or we've never had to start the wood stove this early," or, like, I don't know why it is that we have this way that we think that life progresses, and then we look back in that farm journal and we're like, "Wait a second, this has happened before. This has happened lots of times before." Yeah. Yeah. I am so glad that we keep the farm journal. The other reason is that, I don't remember what I had for supper last night, so it's very hard for me to remember, "Oh, in July, this is what comes into season on our farm," or "In September, we have to remember to do this." So the farm journal is very helpful for things like that. I try to be I try to be really good about writing in it every day or almost every day, and even looking back at this one, I can see there is always a time of year that I think, "I really need to be better about writing in my farm journal," and it's usually March. And then I do really good until about this time of year, and then I get busy and I forget. And how long does it take you to write in your farm journal? It only takes a couple minutes. It's not like you need to write a novel. Just a couple minutes to write down what's happening, what's going on. But for some reason, I always forget. So maybe we can just remind each other to write these things down because our future self will thank us. Yes. Stephanie says 37 degrees in Rock Springs, Wyoming, with a snowing blizzard. Oh, I can't wait till this is all done. Won't that be great? I'm wondering what the Easter Bunny is gonna end up doing this weekend. They're talking snow here on Easter, which is not uncommon. Like I've said before, we've had snow on my birthday before. It's also been 80 degrees on my birthday. I think we latch on to the warm temperatures and the spring temperatures because we want to believe. We want to believe that that is what's going to happen. Um, but yeah, they're talking snow on Easter. So that poor little Easter bunny. I don't know. I don't know how we're going to find those eggs. Kim says, "Good morning, sassy woman. Happy you are around." Yeah, I'm a sassy girl. I'm definitely a sassy woman. I have been very sassy on the socials lately, especially on Facebook on my personal account, because there've been some stuff going on, which we'll probably get into here if we ever get to my topics, or we can just sit and chat. That's good too. Aaron from Two Chicks Homestead says, "I do now." This must be for the farm journal. "I just need to remember to write in it." Isn't it crazy how something that's so easy to do is so hard to remember to do? Why are we like that? Why are humans like that? The Philippine Nomad says, "We had hot, 85 degrees Fahrenheit, 80% humidity down at the beach on Wednesday. Cool 72 back up the hill the same day and rest of this week." A cool 72. I love that you say that because if it was 72 degrees right now at my farm, I would be on here whining about how hot and sweaty I was. Part of that would be, going from the temperature it is now to, oh my gosh, all of a sudden it's 72, but I don't know. I don't know. Chef Donna at home says, I do, and it's a terrific tool. And it always makes me feel sentimental. That written word never becomes a tech dinosaur. Yeah, a lot of people have said, why don't you just keep your farm journal on your computer? And maybe it's because I work online and I do all my writing online and in the computer. I don't want my farm journal to be that. There's something about sitting down with actual pen and paper with my coffee and taking that 2 or 3 minutes to write out, okay, this is what happened yesterday. This is what's coming up. It's like back in the old days when I used to just journal or like write in my diary, kind of like a farm diary. There could be some good stuff in there. And then, I like reading farm journals or memoirs from a long time ago. There's especially ones that people have actually written out, like not, I'm telling you what happened in this person's life, but this is actually something that I've written. There's a connection there that I really love. So who knows, maybe someday someone in my family will be reading my farm journals and having that connection. Let's see. Letty says time to create that daily habit before bed to get that journal done. Yep, you can write at night. I find that I do better when I write in the morning. I write in the morning about what happened the day before when I'm sitting with my coffee. So the Homestead Journey says my farm journal consists of random unorganized notes in Google Keep Notes. Well, that works too. It's better than nothing, right? Letty Lou says, you've got a pretty mouth. Letty, you had to go there, didn't you? Did you say it with a straight face? So Letty is referring to some things I've been dealing with on the social media front, and then the email front. I've got some people, and I always have inappropriate messages, we shall say, and pictures of anatomy coming to me. Like it's just something I think you deal with if you're online in certain aspects, and it's been on fire lately, let me tell you. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Letty. A lot of people were like, I was going to say something, but you beat me to it. So we will actually get to that in a little bit because it's one of my topics. It's one of my topics, but we will go back to the comments here. Oh no, Ashley. Ashley says, morning all. Sorry I'm late. I dropped my mug and it's shattered. Oh, that's too bad. There's nothing worse than breaking your cup, because now you got to make more coffee, right? So my mug today, or my tumbler, I should say, is Sprinkle Some Happy, similar to the one that I showed you last week that was still wrapped up, that my husband had made. But this is the original. This is the original first one that I was like, hey, I want to make a cup. So this is Sprinkle Some Happy. And I lost this cup for a really long time. And it made me mad because I really love that cup, right? So I actually started telling everybody in the house that a ghost had taken it, because we've had some things go missing in our house lately. And I was like, okay, we're just going to chalk it up to a ghost in our house because I have looked all over. I don't know where this thing is. Hubby, you're going to have to make me a new one, right? So as it turns out, it was in my eldest son's room on his desk. And I checked his car. I checked everybody's car. I figured, oh, they took it to work with him. Nope. It was in his room. The murderous garbage man is here, and the dogs are not barking. When I wait for them to bark, they don't. What do we got? I'm missing comments here. Amy says, I love handwritten journals so I can doodle while I'm waiting for my brain to process the next thing I need to journal. I like that too. It's a little harder to doodle on the computer, and the computer for me just seems like work, right? And that's probably because of what I do for work, but I don't know, there's something just relaxing about writing it out like in the old days. Oh man. Ashley says it was just creamer, but one of my favorite mugs. Oh, Ashley, that's a bummer. I'm glad you didn't waste the coffee, but you did waste the creamer. Speaking of creamer, here, whoop, squirrel. So this morning I went to go out and get more heavy whipping cream from the garage fridge because we were out in the house fridge. And I noticed that it was expired. And I used it anyway, y'all. I used it anyway. It was expired by about a week. And I'm a firm believer in the sniff test, and it smelled fine and it tasted fine, so I decided to use it. So I'm using expired heavy whipping cream. I hope YouTube doesn't have a problem with me saying that, but that's what I did. And it's fine because you gotta have your heavy whipping cream in your coffee, or at least I do. So the Philippine Nomad says, I carry my notepad and pen in my EDC pouch daily. Used to go through one pad every other month, but neglected to jot anything down lately. I love that. See, here's the thing. I always have paper for me is like a security blanket. I have notebooks all over the house. I have a notebook on my nightstand. I have a notebook in my purse. I have notebooks in my car. I have notebooks everywhere because if I am without paper, I like my brain can't function. It's like a security blanket. I have to have paper. So if I have an idea that strikes me, I can write it down. Now, we have our phones, right? We have our phones. I could put a note in my phone. I need the paper. What is that about that? I don't know. Let's see. Got people saying hello, hello, hello. Nate says, if it's your husband, it's not a problem. If it's someone else, then it's a problem. You must be referring to the comments that people are making lately on the socials and in the email. Yeah. Yeah. And I joke around a lot with people. We live we live in a very inappropriate house. I grew up with roofers. I married a cop. I mean, we have language, we have odd senses of humor. That's what we do. And so I tend to joke around with people. Um, Yet if you're gonna throw stuff like that at me, and I don't know you, like you're just coming at me with crazy stuff like that, that is not how you do that. That's not how you do that. So it's I don't know. It's something you always deal with. It's something I always deal with. I think that's just part of being online, being a personality online. I'm sure everybody deals with it if you're kind of working in this capacity, but I tell you, sometimes it's just like, come on now. Come on now. Come on now. Oh boy. Ashley says, "You're such a rebel ignoring those expiration dates." I know. You know me. You know me. Waya Heritage Homestead says, "I'm late, but I made it. I had to catch a duck." Those animals sometimes they just put a wrench into things. I remember one time, way back in the day, I was supposed to be heading to a Cub Scout meeting, I think, take my boys to a Cub Scout meeting, and we looked out in the front yard, and the pigs were out. The pigs were out, and that's never fun to look outside and be like, now we got to deal with this thing, especially because I have somewhere I need to be, something I need to be doing. So it's always fun when you have to catch the animals, deal with the animals, deal with the animals. Homestead Journey says expired whipping cream living on the edge. We used to get raw milk way back in the day. We had someone we got raw milk from, and so it was so interesting to me to see how that milk changes as it ages, um, differently than milk from the store or having whipping heavy whipping cream from the store. That has always been really interesting to me to compare the changes in them. So, yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but oh boy. Let's see. Chris says expiration dates are like instructions. They're only suggestions, right? They could be, and sometimes we don't read the instructions. And the crazy thing, have you guys noticed this? Squirrel. Um, when you order stuff now, very rarely are there instructions. Have you noticed this? I feel like they used to send like big manuals for how to put stuff together or how this piece of technology works. And now I think they just assume they'll look it up online. I can't remember the last thing I ordered. I think it was a battery pack or a power bank or something. And there was literally nothing in it. It was just people must just assume that we know how to use this. Like just plug it in, charge it, use it. But I thought it was funny because you used to get all the instructions and now you don't. Holy moly. I just got a whole the comments must be a little slow today. Not on your end, on my end, because I just got like 12 that came through. So, um, Letty says, I remember better if I physically write it down. I totally understand that. Totally understand that too. And Kim says, decent pen too. It's tactile. I'm so glad that you guys understand this because some people think I'm nuts. But for me, it's absolutely tactile. And I'm picky about my pens. My husband's like, it's just a pen. I'm like, you don't understand. It is not just a pen. And it is not just paper. It has to be a certain thing. Everybody's got their thing, right? The Homestead Journey says, I don't know about anyone else, but when I read or read Pretty Mouth, what I hear in my mind is purty mouth coming from someone without teeth in their mouth. Yeah. Yep, yep, yep. It was an interesting conversation that yeah. Waya Heritage Homestead says, exactly. We used to call Sunday Goat Escapes Day. They always got out right before we were supposed to leave for church. Yeah, I think they plan stuff like that. I think they know. Maybe something changes with the energy, or maybe they have a calendar in the barn and they're like, this is when we're supposed to get out. Haha, watch. Maybe they have like their own TikTok or something, their own goat TikTok that we should get a hold of. And yeah. T-Bone Malone says, I don't have much of a homestead yet, but I use a bullet journal every day. I may have missed it, but what kinds of things do you usually write in your farm journal? So in my farm journal, I'm normally writing, well, now I try to sit down every morning and just write, we planted seeds yesterday. Here's what the weather was. Here's something that happened in our house. Here's something funny the dog did. I just try to write a little bit about the day before because even like I'll look back and be like, oh, we don't have that chicken anymore. Like I'll talk about something stupid a chicken did or something funny that a cat did or something, oh my gosh, remember when the barn cat got 6 rats in one day? And so it's fun to look back on that and go, oh, we don't have that cat anymore. So just like fun memories like that. But I do try to put especially stuff about weather, like how much rain we got, if there's anything going on with the garden, if there's anything going on with butchering, maybe, this is how much meat we got, this is how long it took, here's something we remember or we should remember for next year, here's something that would work better. So I can look back and go, oh, when we butchered last year, what were the things that I wrote down? Oh, we should use this instead of this. We should remember to have this on hand because remember last year we didn't. Yeah, so just lots of things like that. Sometimes my farm journal is way more informative. Sometimes it's just cool memories that I think will be fun to look back on someday. And sometimes you're writing stuff you don't even realize it will be fun to look back on someday, but yeah, it is. Let me see. Letty says instructions are crappy pictures now. We've built a lot of furniture in the past month. Instructions suck now. Yeah, and I wonder I wonder if they just figure if people have a problem, they'll just look it up on YouTube. They'll just look it up online. Someone will have some tip for how to do this thing. So maybe it's not worth their time to make decent instructions. I don't know. I live in a house of people who they will get something or try to make something and they will just go at it, and I don't know if that's a guy girl thing, but they just go at it and try to figure it out, and then if they can't figure it out, then they go look at the instructions or go look it up on YouTube, but maybe so many people are like that now that they've just figured, we're not gonna worry about what we're gonna put in those instructions. Mm. All right, I think I'm caught up on comments here now. Lots of people talking about different pens. Different pens. I'm so picky about pens. The ink has to flow correctly, and it has to be the right thickness. Yeah, I'm so glad there are other people out there like me. I thought it was just one of those weird things. Mike Larson says, "Darn it, I'm late." Nah, you're not too late. Some people show up for the whole thing. Some people come for a couple minutes. It's Friday. Some people are going to work, right? I do this before I start my day, before I go out and do chores and do all the things, run all the errands and do whatever. Blow away in the wind today if it doesn't stop. Although the snow, there's just a dusting on the ground, most of it melted, but we're supposed to get more on Easter. So yay, right? It'll probably be gone by my birthday. Who knows? Chef Donna at home says, funnily, I've been in my garden journal as I'm here having breakfast, thanking myself for noting the pruning times for the clematis I planted last year so I don't have to figure it out now. Yeah, it can come in really helpful. I remember when we first moved to the farm, the only reason that I knew when raspberries were ready to be picked was because I had written it in my journal because our raspberry patch is not close to the house. It's kind of in the back corner of the property. And so it wasn't an area that I was going to every day. And I kind of missed it one year. I'm like, oh, hey, maybe I should have checked these earlier. So yeah, there's things in there that you write them down and you think you're going to remember them, but you don't. You don't remember them. So you have to you got to write them down. Oh boy, we got all the pens and write, like Nate says, write in the rain, notepad and pen, keep that in the backpack for stuff. Yep. I have a friend who when those first got popular, she bought me one. I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. I also would like to have a notebook in the shower. They have those ones that you can like mount to the side of your shower because y'all, showers is where I get all my ideas, and showers is where your brain, like, I don't know what it is. You can tell me in the comments if this happens to you, but being in the shower, like it clears your brain and all the answers come, whether you're dealing with like a problem, you're trying to figure how to fix an issue, or if you're like, where is this story that I'm working on supposed to go next? Or what is this article that I'm working? Like all the ideas come in the shower. So someone had told me that they have this like notebook thing that you can mount in your shower. Can you imagine? My showers would take forever then. I'd always be in the shower because that's where the ideas come. Oh, man. All right. Martinson family, what day is your birthday? The 20th. It's next Wednesday. Next Wednesday. I don't even know what I'm doing. I'll probably still be in like panic mode, trying to get ready for leaving for LFTN the next week. But yeah, I'm not sure. I think most of the people in my family actually have to work that day, so I'll just be hanging out. It probably depends what the weather's going to be. Maybe I'll have a really productive day on the farm. Maybe I'll sit on the couch and read a book and drink a lot of coffee. It depends what the weather is. We're not sure. Let's see. Chef Donna is responding to when T-Bone Malone asked about what do you write in your journal. She said, I write seeds started, success or failures, garden plan, what I planned where or planted where, how they did, weather, what to change, preserving and yields and life events mixed in. Yep. That's kind of what I do. So you can put whatever you want in your farm journal. The longer you keep it, the more you figure out, oh, I got to remember to write this down. I got to remember to write this down. The Homestead Journey says, I do some of my best thinking in the shower. I was actually thinking of dropping an episode on my podcast called I Think About You in the Shower. You would not believe there are a few people who will message me and say, don't take this the wrong way, but I was thinking about you in the shower. And then it's usually something that we need to talk about or some, some podcast like interview thing we were trying to figure out, but it's just funny, whatever. Not nearly as weird as somebody messaging you and telling you have a pretty mouth and then, continuing on from there with that mess, but whatever. Ashley says, definitely I work out all the world's problems and have the best arguments with myself in the shower. I'm telling you, the shower, there's something magical about that water. And I don't even like water. I don't like water. I'm not a water, which is funny because I live in Minnesota, land of a million lakes, right? But I'm not a super huge fan of water or swimming or the sea monsters that I know live in every lake here. But I like the shower. It clears my head. Oh, I'm missing some comments here. Karen says, crayons, Amy, crayons. I could write with, I love to color. I find coloring very therapeutic. But I don't know if I could write my journal in crayons. I don't know. Happy early birthday, says, is it Teresa? Thank you. Martinson family says, haha, 420 baby awesomeness. Our daughter will be 4 on the 26th. There are so many April birthdays. Yeah. So the funny thing about being a 420 baby is when I was younger, the thing that was more Oh my gosh, you were born on April 20th. The thing that was more that was the fact that I share a birthday with Mr. Adolf Hitler. So that was a thing that people used to talk about. And then when I got older, they're like, 420. And that's my birthday. That's my birthday. Nate says for my birthday, I should grab some whiskey and go play on the ham radio. I could. We'll have to see if anybody's talking. Sonny's place. Hey there, pretty mouth lady. I'm so glad that everybody got a kick out of that. I vacillate between, being annoyed with these people that send these messages and just like, sometimes I get kind of feisty and then I want to ask them what their problem is. Yes. I'm trying to think if we should just go to the. Let me look at my topics here. Oh, here's something totally random. Do any of you all use a weighted blanket? Do you like weighted blankets? So here's the thing. My husband hates weighted blankets. He wants his blankets to be super light. Like he doesn't even want to feel like there's anything on him when he's sleeping. I like weighted blankets. Like I would like about a 300-pound blanket on me while I'm sleeping. Okay. But I don't want to be hot when I'm sleeping. So this is the problem. I saw a meme the other day that said it was a genie talking and he's like, I don't understand. And the person saying, I don't understand why this is so hard for you to understand. I want the weight of the blanket, not the heat of the blanket. And I thought, I identify with that. So is there anybody else out there who uses a weighted blanket and is wondering, how am I supposed to use this weighted blanket when it makes the bed 5 million degrees, which isn't bad in the winter, obviously, but I don't know. Oh, yes. Go on, let's see. We've got all the comments here. Let me see. Mike says people can be so creepy. Yeah, they can. Chef Donna says such shower fodder for the pervs, but we get you. Yeah, I know. I suppose I asked for it a little bit, right? Karen says ducks are sea monsters. They could be. When I think of sea monsters, I think more of the fish that will swim up to you and bite your toes. Or things that I imagine. So you're swimming in the lake and you've got like all the plants that are at the bottom of the lake, right? Mhm. And they touch your feet and you're pretty sure that it's a monster or there's a monster living in that plant. These are the things I think about. I actually am a really good swimmer. I'm not like afraid to swim. I have to like think past it, right? I have friends who want to take me like scuba diving, and I just don't ever see myself doing that. I don't know if I could do that. My husband is a diver for the sheriff's department, and oh man, I can't imagine because I don't like wearing masks, first of all. So the thought of going down in the water really, really far where you can't see because it's dark, and then putting a mask on your face and having to breathe through a tube. I don't see that happening for me. I don't know. All right. Oh, okay. So Karen was saying crayons in the shower. That's what I should be using in the shower. Ooh, I could do art all over the shower wall with my crayons. I could draw pictures and write poems. That's a beautiful idea. I should try that. Kim says, I shut some dipstick down the other day. Where do they get the idea that inappropriate conversation where your husband can see it is okay? Didn't their mamas spank them right? Yeah, I don't know. It's a little I'm kind of a logical person, right? And I kind of like to dig into the psychology of things. So when people do that stuff, like the first thing I'm thinking is you have a lot of time on your hands. You have a lot of time. Like what? You could be doing something productive with your time right now instead of making inappropriate comments to people who are like, what are you doing? I get a lot of these comments. Sometimes I show them to my husband, or I share them with my husband, and he's always like, do you want me to respond? I'm like, no, because I know what you would say and you would make it worse. But I don't know. I don't understand the psychology behind taking the time. Like, do they actually think they're going to get a response? And what response do they think they're going to get? And then I wonder, like, are they saying these comments to females who are actually responding in a way that they would like them to respond? Like, is that a thing? Maybe it's a thing. Maybe I don't hang out with the correct crowd. I don't know. I got shit to do. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna respond to your inappropriate comment. Oh boy. Oh my gosh. Holy moly. Okay, I'm missing all these comments. Karen says denim quilt. We used to have a denim quilt and it was great. Like it was heavy and it was wonderful. And that denim quilt, I'm telling you, I think my hubby's grandma made it for him when he was younger and it finally just got worn out. If you can believe a denim quilt would get worn out, but and we fixed it. We put a new back on it and it just like, I mean, we still have it, but it's not one we use all the time anymore, but yes. Letty says, I would try a weighted blanket, but I don't like the fabric of most of them. What kind of fabric are you looking for? I should have brought my weighted blanket so I could show you. This is my weighted blanket. Sonny's Place says, I don't use weighted blankets and I don't like them. I'm claustrophobic and it's suffocating to me. Yeah, it's interesting. My husband doesn't like them either. And I am super claustrophobic, but not if you cover my face, like if I had someone cover my face with a blanket, that would not be a good thing. But I also like to feel like I'm being held. There's probably some psychology behind that. We can dig into that at another time. T-Bo Malone says, no, I don't want to feel like I'm being smothered by a toddler while I sleep. Maybe that's why I used to like having the dogs in bed with me. Because like they would sleep like right next to you and they would like, press on you. And I liked that until we got 3 dogs and there wasn't room for them all in the bed. It was fine when my husband wasn't home because my husband sleeps nights, but then my husband would be home. Did I just say my husband sleeps nights? If I said that, I meant my husband works nights. But anyway, so then when he would be home, it'd be like, well, the dogs can't all be in the bed. We can't all fit in the bed. It's just not going to work. But I did like that. Aaron from Two Chicks Homestead says my weighted blanket is my 5-year-old usually. Yeah. Teresa says blow a fan on you. We have a fan. Do any of y'all sleep with a fan? I have a fan on all the time when I sleep because I need the noise. There's always a fan running in our bedroom because I'm either sleeping or my husband's sleeping. And so maybe I should just turn it around. This is why we have a community, because y'all have to point out the obvious solutions to my problems. So maybe we'll do that. Maybe I'll do that. The Homestead Journey says, what's a blanket? My wife always steals it. Well, then you need your own blanket, Brian. Get your own blanket. You could have separate blankets. Yeah. Let's see. Ashley B says, I don't have a weighted blanket, but I do love my really heavy crocheted blanket. The cat also sleeps on me. So we've all got our thing, right? Karen says, mad ducks will bite. Oh my gosh. Well, yes, this is true. And also, Canadian geese are air cobras. Yes. Oh, now we're talking about all the monsters. Whale Heritage says, snapping turtles are our pond monsters. Snapping turtles. Yes. I used to live on a creek when I was younger, when I was growing up. And the things that were, and maybe that's where it started, y'all, because I knew what was in that creek. First of all, it didn't have a solid bottom. Like if you got into that creek for any reason, you would sink. So we have like the quicksand thing from all the movies I used to watch when I was little. So you'd sink down, and then what was in that muck? There was snapping turtles. We had so much stuff in there. No fish. All the things. Maybe that's where my fear started. I don't know. Oh my gosh, so many comments that are coming through all in these big let's see. Letty says my almost 4-year-old has been my weighted blanket, but we're starting him to sleep in his own bed this week. I miss my personal heater. Isn't it funny how you get used to sleeping with somebody else and it's almost like your body acclimates to that? I found because I'm normally sleeping by myself, I think your body acclimates to that. And then on the nights when my husband is home, I'm like, holy criminy, you are so warm. I can't get used to sleeping in the same bed with you for a really long time. or like all night. I usually get out of bed and then move to the couch or get up and do stuff because it's just too hot. You get used to sleeping by yourself and then it's weird to sleep with somebody else. I don't know. Life is weird. Life is weird. Let's see. Philippine Nomad said Mrs. E is a hot sleeper. Loco is cold, so the blankets and sheets are all over the place. That's the other thing. Like my husband, he like I don't know what he does in bed. If he's like having a party in there in his sleep or what, but that bed is like torn apart when he gets up. And me, I don't move when I sleep. So like I go to bed like this and I wake up like this and I can like pick up the blankets and get out of bed and pull the blankets and then it's done. But it's so funny. It's so funny how we're all different. We're all different. Letty says, I have 4 or 5 blankets on my half of the bed, though, and they help with the weight and deep joint pressure I enjoy. Everybody's got their thing. She also says, most weighted blankets I've seen are minky plush, and I can't stand the feeling of that stuff. The stuff, the ones that we have here, because I have one and one of my sons have one, they feel kind of velvety a little bit. I don't know. Maybe I'll bring it to a live chat so y'all can see it if I can lug it down the stairs. All right. Chef Donna says, gotta run. Happy Easter Passover weekend, everyone. Bye, Donna. Thanks for hanging out. Here's a little tip. I've got an interview with Donna coming up on the Farmish Kind of Life podcast in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 3 weeks. It'll be after I get back from LFTN. So that'll be a good one. We talk about some cooking tips, and I learned so much from her. And I feel like I know what I'm doing in the kitchen, but I learned a lot from that interview. So I'm excited for you guys to hear that one. Corey says, I use a fan app on my phone to save on power, but still get the noise. That's a good idea. I never thought of that. See, that's why we have this community, because we share all this stuff and we learn. Letty says, nope, can't handle that velvety texture. Well, there you go. There you go. All right. What else? We talked about the weighted blanket. What else? My hydroponic system is absolutely amazing. We are growing. What do we have? We have a couple tomato plants down there, and then we have Gustav's salad lettuce. Never grown it before. Bought it this year, and then when we decided we're going to do the hydroponic system, we decided we'll start with that. Oh my word, y'all. Number 1, it grows so freaking fast. Number 2, there are no weeds. Number 3, it is beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Maybe by next week I'll be able to bring one up because I have one more live stream before I go to LFTN. And y'all, it is so gorgeous. I'm so excited about this. We have a bunch in our regular hydroponic system, and then I also started some in mason jars. And the mason jar stuff is working. It's just not going as fast, but I love it. I'm so excited. I can't wait till we can have our first salad from a hydroponic system. I'm very excited for it. So I'm glad that we started it this year, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen with the next round of lettuce, because I think we're going to try iceberg lettuce next. Yeah, it'll be good. It'll be good. Let's see. Aaron from Two Chicks Homestead says, I think my lettuce will be ready just in time for us to leave for LFTN. It's funny because there's so much math that happens on a homestead. There's so much math. You have to look ahead and be like, oh, I don't want to get my chickens now because they'll be ready to butcher at this point, and we're not going to be home, or we've got this other stuff we're going on with. So I didn't really think about that with the lettuce, but yeah, same thing. I think ours will be ready right before LFTN, which is fine because there will still be 3 people in the house that they can eat it. But then looking ahead to start the next batch, like we are going on another trip the end of May. So then it's like, okay, so do we start it? Do we not start it? I don't know. I don't know. So much math. And I am not a math person. So it's amazing that we can run the homestead as well as we do. Because I'm not a math person. I just looked at the time and we've literally been talking for 45 minutes. 45 minutes, you guys. How does this happen? Trekkie Gal says, blankets depend on the season. Winter, I want a heavy blanket or I'm pregnant and want nothing on me. Summer, maybe the sheet, but probably only the fan on high. We are all so different. It's a great thing that there are so many options because we are all so different. Nate says, trying to plan out the rabbit breeding this year is driving me nuts. Yeah. Yeah. And we plan to get Cornish cross this year, but I, like, at this point, I don't know when we're getting them. Like, we will get them. I just don't know when, because every time that I look on the calendar, I'm like, okay, well, if we get them here, Butcher Day will probably be within this week. Oh wait, we can't butcher that week because XYZ. So it's going to be real interesting this year to see how it all works out, but it will work out because it does. It always does every year. Every year it's different, but every year it works out. So interesting side note here, Letty, since you are on here, I will tell you this. When I was looking at the Farm Journal, because I was, looking for what has been going on in April the past few years, is this really this weird weather we're having? I was looking at when I've planted my garden. The latest that I have planted it is June 21st, and it was fine. There was also another year that I primarily plant in June. And so don't be super stressed out about waiting too long, because here in central Minnesota, planting your garden in June is okay. It's not been an issue for us. If you're doing onions or potatoes or things like that, you're going to want to get them in the ground before that. But like planting squash, planting beans, planting peas, planting all of that, we have planted in June, and it's been totally fine. So there you go. All right. All right. Sonny's Place says, I feel that we're not getting our Cornish crosses till late June. That'll push our harvest to right before Homesteaders of America. It'll be a rush getting that done before the trip. Isn't it crazy? So there's all this stuff. Oddly enough, this actually works into one of the topics I was going to talk about, 13 minutes before the end of this is supposed to be done. There's so much stuff that I want to be involved in. And I find that, like, with things like Homesteaders of America and different conferences that I want to go to, or conferences I get asked to speak at, there's that constant trying to push that up against, here's all the stuff that I have to do on the farm. And there's that tricky thing about, I moved to the farm because I wanted to do all this farm stuff, right? I wanted to be the farm girl and raise all this stuff and do all this stuff. And then there's all this other stuff off the farm that I want to do. And especially in Minnesota, because our season is so short, right? And I feel like we're always waiting for, oh my gosh, can the snow melt? The ground needs to warm up. I want to plant the things. I want to get the baby chicks. I want to do the things. And then all of a sudden it happens and you can do all this stuff and you feel like you hit the ground running and you're already behind. And then there's all this stuff that comes up that you want to do, like go to this conference and that conference. And you've got people that want you to speak here and there. And you've got friends that want you to go on a vacation. You want to travel. And you've got that weird thing where you want to create this life where you can do the things you want to do. But sometimes the things that you want to do, they don't line up together, which is really, really hard. And then it's that battle in your mind about, like, what are you, what way are you supposed to go? And you feel like whichever you pick, somebody's going to be like, you should have done this, or you shouldn't do that, or you can't have a farm and like go do all these things, or you should be doing all these things. Don't spend all your time on the farm. And yeah, I'm going to the comments because I see people commenting. Aaron, Two Chicks Homestead says, balance between doing all this stuff away from the homestead and doing all the stuff on the homestead that makes it so people want to talk to you is hard. Yeah. Yeah. It absolutely is. I have people who want me to come speak at conferences and workshops, and it's really hard to figure out where that balance of, yes, I want to come and I want to make those connections and I want to talk to these people and meet these people. And yet if I'm not on my farm doing the stuff that I'm supposed to be talking about, at what point is it like, what? There are people that they will talk about in the homesteading community who have basically become homesteading personalities. So they go and talk about it, but they're at a point where they're not even really doing it themselves. They've basically hired people to run their farms or their homesteads because they're doing all their time traveling, talking about it. And I don't know that I want to do that, but I also think that I want to do that. Like I don't know. It's so hard to figure out like the balance there. So yeah, I'm glad. I don't know if I'm glad is the right thing to say, but I appreciate that other people understand that. It's weird. It's weird, I think, because you think homesteader and we immediately think Ma Ingalls, or we think we have to be on the homestead doing all the stuff, and then we feel like there's just this glitch when you're like, wait a second, I also want to go do this thing because I'm trying to build the life that I can do what I want. That when I say, hey, I want to go do this thing, I can go do it, especially now that my kids are older, right? Like I'm not at home with little kids, and I have kids who are old enough now that I can say, "You know what? I'm leaving for the week. You can take care of the farm because you still live here. So you can take care of the farm. I'm going to go do this thing." And yet there's that I don't know if it's guilt. I don't know if it's like I don't know what it is. I mean, it makes it weird. And I'm sure that there's something that's similar in other professions or other lifestyles. I don't know. It's like basing out of home and then knowing that there's other things you need to go do and not knowing how to balance that. I'm gonna go to the comments. The Homestead Journey says, "I struggle with the balance between creating content and doing the things." Oh my word, I'm so glad you said that because yes. Yeah, you have to do the things to be able to create the content, but sometimes you spend so much time creating the content that you don't have time to do the things, and it's this weird balance thing. It's a weird thing. Erin from Two Chicks Homestead says, "You need to have a workshop at your place so you don't have to leave and you get help." That would be interesting. I kick that around sometimes. And then I also wonder, I don't know, there's the weirdness about Jay's job and how that would play into everything, like just I don't know. It I don't I don't know. That's a topic for another time. We'll see if we can make it happen. Maybe something that's not like huge, but I don't know. We'll put it on the to-do list. Let's see. Sonny's place says it'd be nice to be at that point where you can hire farm hands and managers, but I want to do the farm things myself right now. That's the other thing. There will be blah, 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 blah. Now I've been talking too long. My mouth is all confused. My pretty mouth, right? You get to the point where you almost feel like you need help, or in order to go do all the things you need help, but like I moved to the farm because I like to do the things. Like I moved to the farm because I want the ducks and I want the chickens and I want like all the things. I want to do the things. I want to be on the farm. I want to be out in nature. I want to be staring at the sky, looking at all the things, living in my quiet little world. So when people are like, "Can you come speak for us?" or "Can you come on this vacation?" You can just have someone else take care of it. I can, but I don't necessarily want to because the reason I'm here is because I wanted to be here. So that's the other part of the struggle. And it might be less so if I didn't live in a place where it was such a short season. And maybe I need to stop thinking about it like that. Maybe that's what's making it more stressful, is that I'm so focused on, oh my gosh, we have what, like June for sure is when you can get stuff in the ground to what, September? That is such a short season. So you're trying to pack all this stuff into those few months, but then there's all this other stuff going on at the same time. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know. We got people talking in the comments about how to tag people in these comments. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I've been on live chats in the comments before where I'm like, why is it not tagging the person? Yeah. Erin from Two Chicks Homestead says, like, if you have the time to create content that you don't seem like you're actually doing the things. Yeah. That's yeah. The Homestead Journey says, Amy's podcast this week was what I needed to hear because I sometimes feel so guilty because I'm not doing enough, even though I know I take on too much. Yeah. Yeah. The irony is I had recorded that podcast a few days before it released. And like before it came out, I was already questioning, like, I know what I said in that podcast was exactly like, it's true. You can only do so much, and especially stage of life. There are things that you cannot do right now because not, um, it's just not time for you to do it. And yet, I will guarantee you, everybody that is in this chat is a go-getter and wants to do all the things and has 40 million things they want to do that they're not doing right now. Like, it's this unattainable to-do list that makes you feel guilty or makes you feel like, "Oh, I'm not doing enough because there's all these other things I wanna do." Like, I feel like that is this community, but man, yeah, I'm on the struggle bus with some things right now that I want to do that, like, I listen to my own podcasts, because sometimes my podcasts are for me too, so I can go back and listen and say, "Amy, you said that." You have to listen to you have to listen to your own advice. But, oh man, yeah, we're on the struggle bus with a few things that I want to do that I'm trying to figure out how to make them happen or when to make them happen. Imma tell you, it's a struggle. It's a struggle a lot of people are dealing with, so sometimes it's good to know that, other people have the same struggles. It's not fun to struggle, but sometimes when you realize you're not the only person dealing with it, it makes it slightly easier. Yeah. What else? As we're almost at time here. Oh gosh. There was a meme that I posted yesterday on my personal account. And it started with it said F people. And it was basically about, if you buy the red car, people will say you should have bought the blue one. If you decide you're gonna start a business, people will say you should have gotten a job. If you decide you're gonna go into the trades, people are gonna say you should have gone to college. And vice versa. If you go to college, people will say, "Oh, you should have went into the trades," all of that. So it was this meme that was basically, do what you wanna do because people are gonna judge you anyway, right? And I saw that at a time that I really needed to say that, not because I feel like people are necessarily judging me per se in the sense that we would normally talk about it. I think I struggle more with it, like, there's so many things in my life I wanna do that don't fit together in the way that people think they should. I'm doing sign language. Um, I and I don't know how to explain it in the few minutes that we have left, but I just there's I feel like there's so many different personalities up in here and goals and things that don't necessarily fit together correctly, and so sometimes I worry about that. Like, I write nonfiction. I write about farming, write about homeschooling, I write about stuff like that. I also, as a fiction writer, write really dark, violent, horrible stuff, and so sometimes I struggle with that because those 2 things don't fit together, right? How does this nice farm girl write all these, like, horrible things that she writes in her free time, right? But I just, like, maybe things don't have to fit together, do they? Do what you're gonna do. It doesn't matter if it fits. Doesn't matter if it fits. You are the person you are because you're the person you are, and that's who you're supposed to be, right? And so maybe stop worrying about that, Amy. So I did have a friend who messaged, or not messaged, commented on that, and she said, and it's Jenny from the Living Free in Tennessee community. So if you know her, this was from her. She said, "Nothing has to fit. Living, really living, not just being alive, is about experiencing all the wonderful things available." And I thought that was so awesome because really, if you're gonna shut down one part of your life, or you're gonna shut down something that you want to experience because you think it doesn't fit, you're basically cutting off your experience, your ability to experience that. And the world is big, right? The world is huge and there's so much to experience. So if we start we start putting ourselves in little categories, or a little like, this is what I feel like I should do, there's so much of the world that you're not experiencing. And that's sad. And so just the way that she wrote that out, I was like, I'm gonna put that on my office wall because that is exactly it. When I think about the world is big and there's so much to experience, and if you're gonna shut down part of that for whatever reason, all you're doing is shutting out part of the world that is there for you to experience. That's why it's here. Right? So, I thought that was good. I'm gonna go to the comments here now in the last Couple minutes here. Aaron from Two Chicks Homestead says, I start to shut down when I have so many things. I need to write it all down so I don't just keep repeating it in my brain. That's funny because that's how I deal with stuff too. I have to, there's something tactile. There's something about writing it down and working through it. That's how I work through things. Carolyn says, ooh, I like dark and horrible. Yeah, so do I. So do I. Anarchy says, time to work. Have a great day all. Don't forget the thumbs up. Eh? There you go. I just love that you guys come here and you spend an hour with me. That's so crazy to me that you just hang out with me for an hour and we have a little chat. Mike Larson says, no, they don't all have to fit. Maybe I just need to write that on something in every room in my house, put it in my car, put it in the barn. Doesn't have to fit. Doesn't have to fit. Doesn't have to fit. Maybe that just needs to be my mantra. Doesn't have to fit. Hidden Hill Farm Girl says the vacation thing is tough. I know it would be good to unwind and not have all the farm responsibility, but I love the hustle of summer farm time. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. And we have people who will willingly watch the farm for us. So it's not even that that's an issue. It's just like I want to be here to experience it, but I also want to be out there to do all the things. And man, life is crazy, right? Mike Larson says, I'm all over the place. Yeah. So maybe I just need to accept that. It doesn't have to fit, be all over the place. It's cool. Barb says, I've tried to buy your fiction, but Amazon says it's no longer available. Is there any way to still buy your novels? So I only have one fiction novel on Amazon right now. The plan was because I have like dark psychological fiction, right? That's my favorite thing to write. When I started writing fiction, I was writing like romantic comedy, you might call it. And so it was really weird to have those two genres together under the same pen name. So my pen name is Shay Ray Stevens. And I had some people who said you really should separate those out. So I actually had unpublished those other books. Two, I think I unpublished because I was actually going to release them in the future under a different name, which I haven't done yet. I would like to, but I haven't done yet. So yeah, I only have one fiction book that's on Amazon right now. It's called The Me You See. The Me You See. And it's by Shay Ray Stevens. So I have decided right now that my writing fiction is going to be a reward for Cinderella getting all her work done. Because if I don't write fiction, I'm a very, very, very crabby person. Like that is the thing that makes me crabby. If I can't dump into fiction, I get very crabby. So I need to write fiction, but I don't know that I can do it as I can't give it the same attention that I give to nonfiction right now because nonfiction is what pays my bills right now. So that's that. I don't know. All right. So Carolyn says, I love kittens and also disemboweling asshat roosters. Doesn't have to be cohesive. We are dynamic beings. I love that. You're right. I also love kittens. There's plenty on my farm. There will be. We have two very fat cats. Most of our cats are fixed, neutered, spayed, whatever, altered, whatever you want to call it. But we do have a couple that aren't, and I have noticed they are very, very fat, very, very plump, ready to pop. So look for kitten pictures soon. I wonder if they will be born before LFTN or after. I don't know. And the moms always hide them, and we find them, 2 or 3 weeks later when they come out and say hello. So it's fun. Letty says, Amy's dark and horrible writing is awesome. I wish I could write dark and horrible like her, but I'm better with smutty romance. Yeah, everybody has their thing. Everybody has their thing that they like to write. Sonny's Place says, so glad I got to hang out with you this morning. Gotta get to work now. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks so much for hanging out. I love it. T-Bone Malone says, Hubs is the same way. If he doesn't create, he turns into an intolerable, crazy person. I totally feel that. Totally feel that. It's almost like I've explained it to my husband, like being pregnant and not being able to give birth. That's how I describe it. It's just, I have this, like I have literally said to him before, I have this baby that I need to get out. And until I can get it out, like, it's just, And we've been together long enough that he understands that, like, do you maybe need to go write something that's not like nonfiction? Do you just need to like do a dump right there into the computer about, whatever, put on some crazy music and just go at it? Yeah, yeah, I do. Thank you for noticing. But yeah, so I totally understand that. Totally understand that. So oddly enough, as always happens, we are at we are at time. It is time for some of y'all to go to work. It is time for me to go do my chores. Man, there is just never enough time. Let's see what is coming up this week. I don't know what my topic is for Tuesday's podcast. I think it's going to be about the importance of paying attention. I think that's the topic. Fireside Freedom on Tuesday night next week is going to be about building community. I am hosting that one. I have not been on Fireside Freedom for the last few weeks because I have not been home. So I will be on this week. So yeah, catch that. We're talking about building community. On Thursday, we're having a really great interview with Ken Esch about personality types and all of that, which is one of my favorite topics. So catch that. And then Friday, we will have another Friday morning chat, which is going to be the last one before I head to LFTN. So there will be a Friday in there. The 29th, I believe, there will not be a live chat, but I will be back the next week for more. So yeah, thank you so much for hanging out with me today, you guys. I always appreciate you spending time here because there's a million things you could be doing. We are all busy people, but you choose to spend some time with all of us here. So I really appreciate that. So have an awesome weekend, whatever you're doing. Happy Easter, happy all the things. And I hope you don't get dumped on by snow or whatever. But hope you can find all the Easter eggs you're looking for. Have an awesome weekend.